Hi, grade 11s, and welcome to Early English Theatre. It's the same as last week. Watch the video, please write down all of the notes within the slideshow, and then I will post the questions on Facebook during our period. Now, early English theatre is not remembered for its plays and performances, but rather for the infrastructure that it created. Because until the late 1950s, South African English theatre was influenced primarily by British, American, and European works. Now, the characteristics of South African English theatre was a conservative theatre. So in other words, they played it very safe. No risks were necessarily taken in terms of themes and content of the play. It was seldom experimental, yet so again played it safe and nothing too extravagant or out of the box. It focused on light entertainment, and it was an enterprise undertaken for a very specific market, and that was your wealthy white South African. So South African English, early English theatre was made for your wealthy white South Africans. Now, even works created by South Africans seldom diverged from the norms of that theatre tradition. So again, playing it safe, conservative, non-experimental, right? Just keeping to the norms of theatre tradition. And now popular productions were farces. Farces is almost like a type of a satire, type of a comedy and light piece. They would do musicals, they would do thrillers, and of course your classics. Classics in the sense of William Shakespeare, your Tennessee Williams, those are your classic English productions that they would put on. Now, it was with the British occupation of the Cape at the turn of the 19th century that the colony's first African theatre was built. So in other words, the physical building, right? It was a freestanding building against Table Mountain. So you need to think about your history, you need to think of when the British came to South Africa, they made our country a colony, they were in control. That's when they actually built the first African theatre. And it was staffed by the troops. So in other words, these British and English people that came to Cape Town that ruled our country, their armies, their troops, they actually looked after the theatre. And then the Dutch and the French were encouraged to show their loyalty with amateur performances. In the 1880s, music hall became the most popular genre. Right, so musical was just a very light entertainment genre. So it included singing, dancing, and also acting. And places like the Tivoli, which is on your right-hand side, was built to house these entertainments. Unfortunately, the Tivoli is not does not exist anymore today, but it was in the heart of Cape Town in the CBD, the Central Business District. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore today. Opera houses also catered for enormous audiences. If you remember correctly, I've told you in class before, your Baxter Opera House, your Artscape Opera House, they can host almost over 1,000 people at a time. They are very, very big. And then the major influences in this period were the numerous touring companies who played for the rich at the turn of the century. So just if you think about it logically, all of these, so Cape Town being colonized, so your British that were here, your Americans, your French, your Dutch, they all came to Cape Town, all came to South Africa with their classical English pieces, and they would perform for the rich people, right? For your wealthy white South Africans. Now, let's look at the 1950s white theatre. Now, this was a period of the touring companies and finally the establishment of the National Theatre Organization, so the NTO. Just remember, this is shortly after apartheid started. Apartheid started in 1948, so within the 1950s we were busy with apartheid already. And in this time they established the National Theatre Organization, or then the NTO. The NTO was founded in 1947, just a year before apartheid started, and it was a truly remarkable company which took theatre to everyone by using a versatile and bilingual approach. Right? So they went, we cannot just use English as a language. There are other languages as well, and we must try and get theatre to each and every one. Now, the NTO was a real force in the development of a theatre-going public and the improvement of acting and production standards. So they went, let's put a little bit of money in this. It needs to look good, right? The standard needs to be high, and we want everyone in public to be able to reach a theatre. The NTO also helped inspire a number of new writers, and thus the start of an indigenous playwriting tradition in English started. Right? So indigenous, in other words, um, it can be seen as something that was just being done in South Africa, right? So we didn't copy and paste anymore from overseas. We could actually write our own plays. Now, alongside the NGO, they also developed a distinctive wave of younger directors who were more adventurous in their choice of plays and styles. Now, remember I said with the early English theatre, no one took, they didn't take risks. There was no experiments involved. They played it very safe. So all of a sudden, with the NTO developing and people writing their own pieces, a lot of younger directors came into play, and they were adventurous. They took more risks and a little bit and moved away from your conservative playing it safe type of theatre. Alright, grade 11, that's it for today. Your early English theatre within the 1950s, as well as the establishment of the NTO, your National Theatre Organization. So as per usual, your questions will be posted in the comment section on Facebook, and when you are done writing both question and answer in your theory book, please do send me a photo of your answers so that I can correct them and give you the right answers in case you got something wrong. We are still very much busy with South African theatre. There's still a lot of theory to come. So at this moment in time, I'm just wanting you to get all of this information going, get it all in your book, and we will look at Showcase around next week. Until tomorrow, cheers.